This is the rarest pasta in the world. The key to making su filindeu, or threads of God, is stretching and folding dough over and over and over again until it turns into 256 even strands. For a century, the techniques were practiced by a single family in the Sardinian city of Nuoro, who made the dish solely for religious celebration. Now, Luca Floris is one of only 7 locals making it here.
Poco tempo fa il filindeu a Nuoro era off limit anche per i nuoresi.
This secrecy nearly led to the pasta's disappearance. But now it's finding new producers and customers abroad. This new audience could save the rare pasta from extinction. But will this expansion also strip away the cultural and religious significance of the dish? We went to Italy to see how the tradition of making threads of God is still standing. Although making su filindeu is complex, the ingredients are simple: semolina flour, water, and salt. Luca mixes them together to form a dough.
Io fin da piccolo ero il classico bambino che quando vedevo mamma impastare, qualsiasi cosa lei facesse, ero sempre in mezzo. E poi per farmi stare buono mi davano un pezzo di pasta impastata e mi facevano giocare. Piano piano ho iniziato a lavorare, a fare un po' tutto.
Getting the dough completely smooth can take up to 20 minutes.
È una pasta che ha tante varianti, il clima, l'umidità, il caldo, e lì devi essere bravo a capire quando dare più acqua, quando darne di meno.
He alternates between adding drops of salt brine and fresh water as he needs.
Sembrano solo frasi fatte, ma è vero, la pasta la senti cambiare, la pasta quasi parla con te e ti dice ok, sono pronta. Al tatto deve sentirsi liscio e vellutato.
Stretching is the key to su filindeu's thin strands. In one swift motion, Luca folds the dough in half to make 2 pieces, then 4, then 8. He continues until he forms 256 perfectly even threads of pasta. Each one is as thin as a strand of hair.
Non esiste macchinario per fare filindeu, è una pratica che può essere fatta solo ed esclusivamente con le mani.
Luca has to be careful not to break any of the strands as he places them on a traditional wicker base called a filindeu. It's made of asfodelo, a plant that grows throughout the region.
L'asfodelo ha la grande capacità di aiutare nell'essiccazione la pasta e poi di dare anche un sapore in più a quello che sarà poi il risultato finale una volta cucinato.
Layering is the key to su filindeu's mesh-like design. It's also the trickiest step of the process for Luca. The strands cannot be moved once they are on the filindeu, so he has to be precise. He removes any excess dough from the edges before working on the next section.
È importante essere il più veloci possibili, in quanto lo strato inferiore si va a attaccare a quello superiore. Se lo strato inferiore è asciutto, quello superiore non si attacca e quindi in fase di cottura si disfa.
Luca only has 20 minutes to finish all 3 layers.
Questo è il lavoro ultimato.
For the people of Nuoro, su filindeu is sacred. Traditionally, the dish was prepared only twice a year during celebrations to honor St. Francis. Pilgrims from Nuoro would travel 20 miles to his shrine. Women from a local family would gather and prepare bowls of su filindeu for those who completed the trek.
Tradizionale è cucinarlo con un brodo di pecora e condirlo con del formaggio pecorino fresco fatto inacidire.
This hasn't changed since at least the 19th century.
Su filindeu è vero, era un lavoro prettamente femminile, o meglio, una lavorazione prettamente femminile.
But generations of secrecy have left only a handful of people in Nuoro with the knowledge and interest to make the dish. In 2021, a su filindeu maker from the family divulged the recipe to other women in the community in an effort to keep the dish from disappearing. Other Nuoro residents like Luca stepped in to keep the tradition alive. But for him, finding a teacher was impossible.
Non avendo ricevuto risposte positive dalle persone a cui avevo chiesto di insegnarmelo,
Luca decided to take matters into his own hands.
perché devono farlo solo le donne?
Slowly, Luca started getting inquiries from chefs in Canada, England, China, Germany, and beyond.
Questa dimostrazione che è una pasta richiestissima e conosciutissima anche oltre confini nazionali, non solo della nostra isola.
Over 6,000 miles away outside of Los Angeles, one of Luca's students is bringing a new life to su filindeu. Chef Rob Gentile has spent over 20 years bringing the flavors of his Italian background to fine dining restaurants in Canada and the US.
It was always this, holy grail of pasta. And I always wanted to learn how to make it. It's just one of those things. It's like, before I die, I want to know how to make su filindeu.
For years, Rob struggled to find a teacher. But when the masters in Nuoro finally began sharing their knowledge, he jumped at the opportunity.
It started to become how do we keep this tradition alive? How do we encourage the people who are excited about it to foster this amazing product? And this is where I met Luca.
Rob spent hours watching and learning how to knead and stretch the dough in Luca's home.
I was like, I can do this. It's not that difficult, because Luca made it look so easy. It was a very memorable moment. My entire life. It was couldn't even believe this.
Now Rob is featuring su filindeu on the menu at his restaurant, Stella West Hollywood.
I just felt like it was something special that people needed to try. And every time I've introduced someone to it, it's a magical thing to eat.
As su filindeu expands to restaurants outside of Sardinia, awareness of the dish's cultural and religious significance could fade over time. But Luca and Rob believe that shouldn't stop people from sharing how to make it.
Purtroppo non tutti sono d'accordo a insegnarlo fuori, però io ho sempre detto che portare fuori questa pasta non toglie nulla alla paternità della pasta stessa.
I think that it can be appreciated as a technique and a pasta, and we could do things like zuppa di pesce with it and have fun with it, but it can also be celebrated as the religious tradition that it is. It's an exciting time for su filindeu because it's never really been anywhere else outside of Sardinia, and now it is.
And though the pasta is finding new homes, the tradition is still under threat in its birthplace. That's because to make the pasta the authentic way, you need a fundu. And there are not that many people left making them.
In questo momento stiamo andando a Olsai a far visita a una delle ultime maestre dell'intreccio dell'asfodelo. Permesso? Si può? Ciao.
Giovanna Porci has been weaving since she was a small child.
Io ho iniziato a fare l'asfodelo perché quando si alzava mamma che andava a fare qualche cosa, io di nascosto andavo e facevo qualche pezzettino, no? Però lei se ne accorgeva subito che lo doveva disfare, che io non lo facevo bene.
She starts by cutting the asphodel into thin strips. This tool is made from cow bone. Giovanna uses it to weave the plant into a round base. In Sardinia, women have passed down asphodel weaving for generations. It was a source of income for people like Giovanna's mother.
Paesi d'intorno, nei dintorni andava a vendere i cestini, questi che ci sono attaccati al muro. Quindi faceva questo lavoro per guadagnare i soldi, per dare da mangiare ai suoi figli.
But today the trade has virtually disappeared, with only a few weavers remaining.
Infatti ancora oggi non mi spiego com'è possibile che una tradizione che ha fruttato così tanto alle persone stia andando piano piano a morire, a spegnersi.
Giovanna says young people haven't shown any interest in learning the craft. She's tried to teach women in her community, but she says it hasn't caught on.
E va nei mercati a vendere, già li vende, solo che non c'è chi li fa. Non è rimasto più nessuno. Non lo so, io sono orgogliosa di farlo, perché mi piace. Però sono stanca anch'io, capito?
Like weaving, the art of making su filindeu in Nuoro is anything but widespread.
Nel senso che essendo poche le persone che lo producono, hai difficoltà a produrlo in quantità.
This limited production has also made the pasta expensive. 1 kilo can cost 26 to 30 euros, around 15 times the average price of pasta in Italy. But Luca doesn't believe selling it is the key to keeping this tradition alive.
Una pasta sacra è legata quindi a San Francesco, a un santo che ha fatto un voto di povertà, e non mi sembra moralmente corretto e giusto fare dei soldi su questa pasta.
Instead, his focus is teaching it to others, and he's putting his faith in people like Rob to bring the dish worldwide.
They're part of culture, they're part of a cuisine. It's just something that should be taught, it should be carried on, it should move forward.
Che essendo comunque la Sardegna una terra ricca di tradizione, sarebbe fantastico che domani ci si svegliasse e magari qualcuno è venuto all'idea di introdurre queste tradizioni e poterle insegnare nelle scuole.
While Luca doesn't know what the future holds, he's proud of the work he's doing to keep Threads of God alive.